Hello and welcome to episode 1131 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Friday, January 27th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, decent morning to you, sir. I've got some bones to pick with you. How you doing?
I have gotten 2 hours of sleep, and it is effing freezing in my office right now.
I got my heater cooking.
Yeah, I turn on my
insane.
heater before we started, but I turned it off because I'll sometimes flip the breaker while I'm out here. So
that makes sense. You got the computer, you got the heater, you got everything running.
Yeah,
been there with space heaters for sure.
If all of a sudden I just stop talking, it's either exhaustion or I've frozen over.
All right. Well, I hope you don't freeze over. But I am, I'll keep you warm when I burn you with some of these picks.
Ooh, okay.
Boy, I am angry with you. You got some rankings here that I got some beef with, but we're going to get into it. So we did outfielders 1 through 30 according to ADP. You can go over to the NFBC website, click on draft champions, and go from the 1st to the 24th. That will give you a follow along there with what we're going off of here for outfielders. Today we're going to get through 31 through 80, so it's a bit more robust. We're packaging some guys together. We're not going through every single one individually, but let's just jump right into it because this guy's at 31 now. And if I had told you, I guess back in just as recently as 2019, that this guy would be the 31st outfielder off the board, you would have laughed in my face and said, well, what are you, stupid? It's Christian Yelich. And obviously we know that injuries have played a big role. In fact, he had a big injury in that season that prevented him from a second straight MVP, perhaps, when he played only 130 games and still hit 44 homers, by the way, and led baseball with an 1,100 OPS. I mean, it's 2 brilliant seasons and then struggles since. But is Christian Yelich just his Miami self now? 14 homers, 19 steals last year. Did stay healthy, 154 games. The average was a bit lighter than it was in Miami, but it feels kind of like he's maybe just back to that level. Where do you currently stand with Christian Yelich?
I mean, I guess there is a world in which he raises the launch angle, and we see maybe not 40 home runs, but 30. I could see a world in which he does that, but I mean, he also feels like, those seasons were aided by some juiced balls.
He was 19.
Yeah, he was healthier then. And I think the health has been kind of just a major issue for kind of his swing mechanics. And that he's had to kind of go back to something he used to do in Miami, which was have a more level kind of bat path in the zone. So I don't think
bad backs will do that to you,
Yeah, I would never project him to actually make any sort of change like that and say, oh, this is the year he's back to 2018 or 2019. I think at this point he is who he is. If we somehow get an explosion, fantastic. I don't think there's anything wrong with drafting him where he's going. I think he's
I will point out real quick before you say that, we're actually quite a bit ahead of the market on Yelich, you and I. I've got him 24th. You've got him 20th. And like I said, market's 31. So is Yelich a little bit maybe of a target of yours or at least somebody that you think you would be comfortable ending up with, if not an outright target?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a guy that you're going to get probably double digits home runs. You're going to get, close to 20 stolen bases. And I think that Milwaukee lineup has potential to be better than it was last year. I say potential because I think a lot of it rides on, guys I don't necessarily really like Jesse Winker, actually
and the health
coming
of him.
through.
Yeah.
And other guys who kind of broke out last year, sustaining those breakouts like Rowdy Tellez. So
I think that's completely fair.
So I think there is potential for it to be better. I think there's also potential for it to be worse. But I mean, I just think Yelich is about as rock solid as you can get from a position that at this point in the draft or in this point in the ADP of outfielders has a lot of red flags. And I just don't think Yelich has a tremendous amount of them at this point.
Yeah, double-double with a bunch of runs atop that order. Maybe some batting average upside, if not some power, if the body really got back together. But even if you just plan for teens homers, I put 13, 19 with the homers and steals and 96 runs, and that would be excellent. You have 92 runs, so I think that's probably where our projection takes him well above the market. So we have a little bit of love for Christian Yelich, even though he kind of feels maybe a little bit boring at this point. Now, I know last year you had zero interest in this guy because the Coors price boosted Chris Bryant pretty high, and you were 100% right. He flopped completely, and I wonder if the price drop then brings him back into focus for you, because he's now the 32nd outfielder in the market. You're at 34, so you're right there with the market. But does that mean you have a little interest in Chris Bryant, or are you still off the Chris Bryant train?
No, I definitely have some interest in him because the price is depressed. The problem is if he's completely healthy in spring training, and reports are that he's entering spring training healthy this year, his price is going to go up dramatically. We saw it last year when he signed in Colorado, that like he all of a sudden became like a top 100 pick, and started moving his way up to like the 6th round and stuff, and like that was just insane, especially with his injury history. And we know that guys tend to struggle with more injuries in that thin Colorado air. So I'm definitely interested. I haven't pulled the trigger on him yet. I'm hoping that maybe I will get him before any potential price increase, because I do expect him to be one. Like if he hits like 3 or 4 spring homers, all of a sudden people are just going to be going crazy. Like, oh, he's healthy and in Colorado now.
Yeah, Chris Bryant. Okay, so I might be defending it a little bit because I was high on him, although I ended up not getting him because a lot of people were taking him even higher than me. And so, I kind of got protected from myself there because I liked him and I would have been burned with those 42 games. But I disagree that like it was like crazy that he rose like that, because yes, he does have some injury concerns without a doubt. I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise, but he's coming off a 144 game season with 25-10. He did miss time in the shortened season, but who cares? If we don't count the positives for people that played well in the 60 games, I'm not riding the negative for somebody that only played 34. And he played 147 games in 2019 with 31 homers and a 282 average. Juice ball, sure, but he was going to a juiced environment. I think that there was plenty of reason for optimism that if he's giving you another 140 games, that Chris Bryant could be a monster. I think the funniest thing about his 42 game season is that he still had a pretty good line, 306, 376, 475, but he kind of sucked at home. He didn't hit any of his 5 homers at home. Well, he hit well. He hit batting average well, 323 with the 390 BABIP. But all 5 of his homers came on the road in almost half as many games. And I thought that was kind of funny that in that short sample, he couldn't even pop a homer in Coors. But I mean, this is a guy who is a high quality hitter. Over his career, he's a 134 WRC plus. Chris Bryant, I still think could have a huge season. I do agree with you, though, that if you really like him, you should probably take advantage of some winter prices, because once spring gets going, you're absolutely right that if it's boom, he's hitting 400 in the first 10 games or whatever, just because, getting a bunch of base hits or whatever, it's going to put him back on people's radar and he'll start pushing up. And before you know it, he's a, top 25, 20 type outfielder. I would think that could possibly happen with a big spring from Bryant. So I wouldn't necessarily say I'd be 100% out on that because of outfield, but I maybe should be careful about getting suckered again because he does have health concerns. All right, so that's Chris Bryant. Let's continue to move on here. Speaking of health, and you do have health concerns about some guys, but you seem to trust Anthony Santander to stay healthy. He had a big season, and it was a big health spike in particular. Interestingly, he had a big power spike when everybody else in Baltimore was losing homers left and right. The switch hitter popped 33 homers in a career high 152 games after a previous career high of 110. So are you buying that he can stay healthy, put up another 600 or so plate appearances, and continue to be a power threat? Or do you have any concerns about Santander's health?
I mean, there's always going to be some concerns. I didn't factor a ton of them into the projection. That probably is why he kind of stayed up there. Obviously the part doesn't bother him as much as a switch hitter because he gets to, bat lefty so often. And he's just got, real kind of manpower.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're going to try to DH him as much as they can to kind of try to help him. And they did last year. He DH'd in 34 games, and that'll kind of try to help him stay on the field. I'm less likely to get him this year, unfortunately, just because I was so far ahead of the market last year. I was really, really big on him. I think I had him as like a top 40 outfielder when everybody else had him as like in the 60s and stuff. So yeah, I'm probably less likely to get him this year, especially because he's going at the higher price.
You're still up there though. 24 versus 33.
Okay. So I'll probably get him in a few leagues. He just doesn't run. And one of the things I really noticed towards the top of my ranks is how much speed really helps or hurts guys.
It really pushes you up those ranks there. You have your few standouts like Trout and Alvarez and Schwarber and Eloy Jimenez.
But even Alvarez, I'm waiting because my outfield ranks went up today. I'm waiting for people to yell at me for the Alvarez, right?
Well, yeah, relative
ninth.
I was going to say relative to everyone else, you are pretty low. I was just saying that he's one of those guys that does have the low SB total that still ranks pretty high, but not necessarily for you. Yeah, I did notice that. Wow. I have him 5th, you have him 9th, which is a big difference up at the top there. And you're right. We've talked about this a few different times about it. We're seeing how small differences can make big impacts on the projections when we're doing these by hand on the Tanner Bell sheet, smartfantasybaseball.com, $17. Absolutely worth it. And you don't have to hand put them in. There's already a set in there that you can go in there and just tweak the guys that you want. Justin and I are choosing to go player by player and do the entire thing. But if you just want a sheet that is ready-made to go into a draft, $17.
And you can use other people's projections as well.
Exactly.
If you want to input ATC or you want to input the bat, you want to aggregate a few of them. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. So It's really cool.
So yeah, Santander, you still like him. I don't dislike him. I think you're just a little bit higher on some of the outputs there, particularly with the 90 ribbies and even a bit better of a batting average than I've got. But I still like him for 32 homers and a 244 average. So I'm definitely not out. And if my speed is set, then I'm down to take Santander, try to get that power, and hope he stays healthy again. Can Ian Happ pair the 21 homers, the 2021 homer total of 25 with his 2022 average of 271 and have a dream season? Do you see any real potential for that? I know he can, but I guess what is your potential of that? Because again, this is another guy we're both high on compared to the market. 36th outfielder off the board. He's your 26th, my 23rd. So what do you think about that combination of 2021's homers with 2022's batting average?
I think the batting average might be a little bit difficult. He had a 336 BABIP last year that kind of
it's pretty robust
up that batting average. His XBA was 239.
What was your XBA though?
My XBA was 0.
Yeah, so you talk about everyone else's, but
so every hit I got was lucky. Didn't get a lot last year though. I gave him a little bit higher of a batting average than the 239. I went 257 on him. I still think he can get 20 home runs. I still think he can steal. I have him for 9 bases again. So I think he's gonna be totally fine. I think it's a contract year, so if you buy into contract year stuff, maybe he does kind of have an explosion type year. But I think at this point he's just kind of underrated because people expected more from him. And I think people still have this idea of who he was supposed to be and now who he is. And they're he's been fine. He's been totally fine. I think people saw the first home run of the first pitch of that season and was
on this podcast,
75 home runs.
We nailed it. We got him right, dude. We texted each other, high-fiving. Bro, we freaking nailed that, dude. God, we're so good at this. Man, we're awesome. The first homer of the season in Miami, and we literally took a victory lap. We are the biggest dumbasses in the universe for that.
Wait, were we wrong?
Yes, we were wrong.
My bad.
He was okay that year, but he did not end up that because that was the second year. That was after the 2017. And so that was in 2018 when we were like, oh, he's really going to pop off this year. And he was worse than he was the year before. So yes, we were absolutely incorrect. And it's just that one sticks in our brains forever because it's so funny. But yeah, I also don't quite have him all the way up to that batting average. I did get him to 264 with 25 homers. I wonder if maybe, and we have no idea. So we keep kind of batting it around about who's going to take advantage of the steal stuff. If somebody like him, like Ian Happ, who's been an 8-9 type guy, if he takes advantage of it in the form of just adding like 4 or 5, that could be a big value difference for him. Even though it only feels like, it's only 4 or 5 steals, but those extra chip-ins from guys that you're not expecting it from can be big value boosters. So if he went like 25-15 this year, I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. It's not what I projected. I'm sorry, I got a dog hair in my mouth. That's the travails of having dogs. But I like him to just be kind of a 25 and 8, I think is what I got him for. And I would love if he could maybe just take a little bit more advantage of those steal possibilities and maybe get up to 12-13 for Ian Happ, and that would be pretty fun.
He's on one of the teams that could do that, right? Like the Cubs have been maniacs on the base paths kind of since David Ross took over. They were 4th in the major leagues last year in stolen bases. And they don't have like any like major burners on this team. You've got the Nico Horners of the world and the Seiya Suzuki's, like guys with a little bit of speed, but not a ton. Yet they're just stealing a ton of bases. So I think he is one of those guys that like could have like a surprising like 15 stolen bases, and you'd be like, hey, where did that kind of come from?
That'd be huge for Ian Happ. So stay tuned for that. And don't project it, but in the back of your mind, know like I could get a little extra here and take care of some shortcomings elsewhere with steals. Is there a 40 homer season in Hunter Renfroe's bat? He has been a pretty consistent 30 guy. We'll give him credit for it from last year. He only hit 29, but 31 the year before that, 33 back in 2019, but 140, 144, just 125 games last year. I mean, he might have had 40 if he'd have played. It's been the health though, and it's been persistent. 144 is the career high. Only 2 seasons at 140 or better for Hunter Renfroe. So I understand it would need to come from the health. I guess the question to you directly then is, do you believe that he can actually stay healthy? Or at age 31, do you just live with this guy being a 130 game type guy, Hunter Renfroe in LA with the Angels? What do you think?
I mean, I projected him for exactly 130 games and 30 home runs. Like I think at this point he's shown who he is, and now he's going to an Angels team that has a lot more pressing guys to put at the DH spot. Like, he might get a few DH games in this year, but it won't be very many when Ohtani's going to be there full time. When Ohtani's not there, Anthony Rendon. Yeah. Who knows what's going on with Jared Walsh at this point?
Oh my goodness, I'm nervous about him.
Every time they bring in a new guy, I'm like, oh my god, did Jared Walsh die? Like,
yeah, it's because it's to take more PT away from Jared Walsh and like protect that he might not do much.
Yeah. You have to wonder, like, is he even going to play at all at this point? I mean, we just have no idea how thoracic outlet surgery has affected him, especially, and affected hitters just in general, because we just don't have any data for that. Yeah, I mean, as far as Renfroe goes, I think he's like totally fine where he's going. I've pulled the trigger already on him once this season. I feel like people kind of overlook the fact that he's a pretty easy 30 home run bat. And then especially in your like daily moves, leagues, like you can backfill him when he doesn't play. So
yeah, you can cover the Renfroe gaps there, because I agree. Probably going to just be a 130, 135 type. I got him for 133 and 30 homers. So we're in lockstep there and not too far off the market. He's 35th in the market. You're 36. I'm 32. So maybe a few extra runs and ribbies for me that boosted him. But for all intents and purposes, we have him, Hunter Renfroe, the same. All right, you piece of garbage.
No.
The fuck is your problem with Harrison Bader? That's not what I put on the rundown, but I changed it.
Before we jump into this, while I'm thinking about being a piece of garbage, I want to retract something I said in the last podcast about Michael Harris II, because I can't remember the last time I got so much pushback on saying something. I said something along the lines of Michael Harris's defense isn't good enough to keep him in the lineup if he's struggling offensively.
And in fairness, I don't think I challenged you. I think I just kind of accepted it, not really thinking about it. I didn't have a read on it one way or the other, but the folks did. What did they think, Justin?
Yeah. So
and they were right, by the way.
Yeah. Apparently, I was looking at his minor league kind of scouting reports, and then just what I've seen in the limited times I've seen him play defense. And apparently, he was very good defensively, and all the metrics back that up. So, and you know what? I'll admit it, I was wrong.
Clip that, y'all.
Yeah, and I appreciate everyone who reached out to me via Twitter or commented on the article's post for the podcast over on Fangraphs, or like who sent me mail and faxed me. I got a telegram. I had to
telegram for Justin Mason, sir. It has been seen that Michael Harris II is a wonderful defender.
All of a sudden, in the middle of the night, here. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I messed that one up. You know, I was wrong, and like I said, I do appreciate when people reach out.
Me too. Like it might sound like we're joking, but no. When we get something wrong, I want to be correct. I don't want to be out there putting out garbage information. So again, I didn't correct you. I didn't have a read on it either. So I was just like, I think I just said, yeah. And we kept moving on. And then the chat was like, wait a minute. You boys done messed up. 92nd percentile outs above average for Michael Harris, 89th in outfielder jump, 89th percentile in outfielder jump, and 95th percentile in arm strength. So hell of a foundation he's laid. It does run counter to the projection or to the scouting report where he was a 50 with a 45 future, because you degrade with speed. So that was the projection there. I'd say he played like a 60 this past year. And if he keeps that up, obviously he can have his struggles against lefties and have some regression, and he would continue to play regardless of that.
And obviously, like, I mean, I don't think this gets kind of like repeated enough, because like we take like StatCast stuff, like, you know, as like Bible and stuff.
Yeah.
Defensive metrics suck normally, but when when all of the defensive metrics are like in line, it gives you a better snapshot. You know, and so for my mistake, I apologize, and I do appreciate everybody reaching out. Now, as far as Harrison Bader goes,
chat, attack him for this too, because this is some horse shit here. Let me set the stage real quick before I let you bury yourself. Harrison Bader is 38th in the market, which I've seen some people have some real pushback on, by the way. You're not the only one here. But,
really?
Yeah, but they don't have him at 68, you freaking jerk. I'm a big Harrison Bader stan, so I'm on the complete opposite end here. I got him 26th because I got him having a big season, a big breakout, and I understand about the health that you're going to bring up, but you got him 68th, and you know it's coming because you wrote it up in your piece today that people are going to have a stroke, and right here, having said stroke, 68th, you got him for 450 plate appearances, 13 homers, 16 steals, 247. I guess it just comes down to you don't believe that he can stay healthy and have a good season. I know he wasn't great in the 14 games with them. I don't care. That was kind of coming back from the injury. Obviously had the huge playoff. I'm not basing this off of that either. Like that doesn't move the needle that much for me for Harrison Bader. I really liked him in St. Louis. I've been kind of hoping for him to stay healthy. He does not have a 140 game season yet, but I really like the upside here, even in like 130, 135 games, because he is power speed, but you got him 68th. Explain yourself, sir. Harrison Bader, what's going on?
I mean, I'm gonna start answering your question by asking you a question. Are you upset because I ranked him 68th, or are you upset because I didn't rank him 69th?
Both.
Okay.
If you're gonna hate, at least be funny about it.
He had 313 plate appearances last year.
And again, I ask again, how many did you have?
Do you see me on the outfield list?
Fair, okay, fair counter.
You know,
counter. Okay, so
I cut the list off at 150 on Fangraphs because like it was like 300 deep, and I still wasn't on the 300 deep. He had 313 plate appearances last year. He had 401 plate appearances in 2021. He had 406 in 2019, 427. Like I understand people like believing and wish casting like, oh, if he gets to 600 or if he gets to 550, like he's gonna be a monster. And I don't disagree. Like if he plays 550 plate appearances, I think he like realistically has like a I don't know, a chance at like a 2020 or maybe even a 2030
I was
season.
gonna
Like,
say like, yeah, 2025 type season for Harrison Bader. I could definitely
but
see that. But he has to
I,
he has to play. He has to play.
yeah,
He has
I
to
mean,
play.
honestly, it's a bit irresponsible to project him for playing time that he's never been able to get to.
But that
And I don't
happens
think,
all the time.
yeah, but you can't project it.
But yes,
You're
you can
wish
because you can't
casting.
predict injuries either. So
Here's the thing: we had this exact same conversation last year on this exact same player. Like I could literally, and I might
and
go
then
pull the
and then
audio.
you put plantar fasciitis in his foot.
Yeah,
So like,
absolutely. I
here's the
put a
thing though.
plantar fasciitis tack
You planted
underneath.
it in his
Yeah,
foot.
yeah.
So, but here's the thing though, and this is with not just Harrison Bader, but anybody. Like, what are these injuries? These are none of them are repeat. So how are you supposed to know that he's going to get plantar fasciitis that like takes up the whole season? Like just because you got it right that like he got another injury, I don't know what that does for us for the future. So if we think that the foot is right and he finished the season upright, dominating in the playoffs, again, that's not influencing my projection all that much. 5 homers in the playoffs. I'm not taking that from Harrison Bader and saying this is why I love him. But like I don't see anything in this injury profile that tells me that I should be completely afraid that he can't get 450, 500 plate appearances. And that's not even a full season. Like that's still leaving some time off. Now, I did go higher than that. I will freely admit that in my little wish cast, but even at 450, I would be higher than 68th for Harrison Bader. And I'm just wondering, like, I understand being
I also
cautious.
want to point out like 60, like the difference between 68 and like 39 isn't as
Mhm.
big as I think we would make it out to be.
It's still like $6 though.
Yeah.
On your dollars like that,
Yeah.
that's something. I get it, right? Because then if he got to 525 again, Harrison
Like
Bader, we're talking about, he would all of
what
a
part,
sudden
like
be
you can see my full projection, right?
yes.
What part of my projection are you objecting to? Because I gave him 450 plate appearances, which is more than he's ever done.
Well, the
13
SBs
home
for
runs.
sure. I would say the SBs then even in 450 because yeah, you did give him 450, which like you said is a career high. He averages. Oh god damn it, that didn't strengthen my argument. Never mind. Fine, maybe it's right.
Like, I mean, it's like I don't feel like I'm out of line. Like I'm not like burying the dude just to bury the dude. Like I
You
like
said he was a stupid, ugly idiot, and I said
he
that
is a
that's
stupid,
fair.
ugly
No,
idiot.
he's not. He's a handsome devil, but he had to get rid of his awesome hair. See, I would never go to the Yankees if I had good hair. I got shit hair. I could be on the Yankees.
I
But
want someone to just be like, no, I'm
no,
not doing it.
if I had hair like his, I ain't going to the Yankees, bro.
Do you think there have ever been like trades like that have been completely nicked?
Gotta be. There's gotta be.
Like I want to hear that story.
He's like,
Like
you can trade me, but I'm not cutting my hair.
I'm not shaving this beard.
Yeah,
I've had this beard since I was 18.
Yeah, exactly,
Like,
exactly. Or somebody that like grew out their hair. Freaking. My dad had cancer, lost his hair, so I grew out my hair. I'm not getting rid of it. Like something like that. Like, what would you tell that guy? No, I would be like, okay, fine, we won't trade you there. But if I had his golden locks of Harrison Bader, nah.
Such a stupid thing, too.
No, I know it is so stupid. There's no shot I'm cutting him. Honestly, okay, I'm looking at this, I guess I'm just surprised that even 13 and 16 for the homers and steals only puts him 69 or 68 and
I told
behind
you the
Kyle
difference
Isbell
between
even.
the difference between a few stolen bases is huge. Now I can see the argument that hey, you know what, he stole 17 bases and 13 plate appearances last year. Why not give him like 20 stolen bases? And maybe I will. Maybe I need to bump up the stolen bases even in the limited, kind of plate appearances that I do have. But like ultimately, like, I stand by my projection for him. Like he, You know, maybe I tweak it a little bit to give him a little bit more speed, but I don't.
Oh wait, I was gonna say
I don't think I was overly harsh in his projection at all.
all the other projection systems have more plate appearances. ATC
Okay.
has 510. That's the
Let's talk about this because
I know the bat and steamer. They use our depth charts.
They're all incestuous.
So it's all the one thing.
Yeah,
it's all based off the one thing.
Like people should realize this because it's not something I really realize.
Yeah. Don't say like Derek thinks he's going to play 130 games. No,
these are not Derek's playing times.
And same with Steamer. They give the rate of what he will do per game, or anybody will do per game, and then we put in our depth charts. But we're only putting him for Bader again, who we're talking about still, for 130 games, which is not crazy. You know what I have noticed here that I'm a little bit off on, and I think that I want to say I think I'm doing it better. So like we have him for 4.3 plate appearances per game based on 560 for 130 games. That seems high, because I have an article here from our own very website that let me pull it up in a moment, because I don't think he's leading off. I don't think Harrison Bader's leading off. So I have a Joe Douglas article. It's from 2017, so it's a little outdated, but I don't think it's changed that much, about plate appearances by lineup position. And if you're batting in the lower portion of the order, starting at 6, it's 4.1, 4.01, 3.9, and 3.77 plate appearances per game at 6, 7, 8, 9. Why do they have Bader for 5.3 plate? So I almost think that these plate appearances are too high for the games that we have him.
Yeah.
Because I got 550 plate appearances in more games than we have. So
yeah, because I have the same amount of games is like the projections on Fangraphs, and I have 450 plate appearances.
So I don't know where those come from, and I'm a little suspect of those, if I'm being honest, based on the Ottoneu article. It's called Ottoneu 101 plate appearances by lineup spot. So it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with Ottoneu specifically, but it is a plate appearances by lineup. And again, 2017 was probably a better offensive environment. Those numbers have probably come down. So I don't even feel bad using something that is 5 years old or 6 years old at this point. And I just think that runs a little high for things. Whenever I look at these projections, I'm like, you have that many plate appearances in that many games? That
maybe they are projecting him to lead off or something.
I guess, because that's robust.
I don't see a guy with a 4% walk rate and a sub 300 OBP
I will
leading
say that,
off.
Well, it wouldn't make sense if Fangraph's depth chart had him leading off, because Roster Resource doesn't. However, who is leading off then? Gleyber Torres, which is who Roster Resource currently has, and no shade.
I mean, here's the thing.
I don't agree with that.
I think, again, I had a really fun podcast on the Yankees yesterday with Sammy from the Catcher's Corner podcast. So definitely go check that out on the FWFB podcast. I think this lineup is just changing all the time. And that's one of the hard things about what Jason Martinez has to do for Roster Resource is he's putting out what he thinks is probably the most common lineup.
Yeah.
But there are some teams that are just changing their lineup on a daily basis. And certain guys, obviously Aaron Judge is going to hit where Aaron Judge hits, and Rizzo's probably going to hit where Rizzo hits.
Yeah, they'll probably be 2-3.
And Stanton's going to hit where Stanton's going to hit when he's in the lineup. That's awesome. But the rest of it's going to be different every day. There's no way to show that on Roster Resource.
You do have to kind of guess and put your best guess there. That is fair. I do think there's a world where Bader could lead off if he's good and healthy. It will not be at the beginning of the season, though.
He would have to get back to those double-digit walk rates of 2019, 2020, which believe he definitely could do.
Yeah. Last year's kind of a throwaway for me. 86 games with the plantar fasciitis. I love that he closed strong in the playoffs. Again, I keep referencing it and then saying that I didn't put it in my projection because I didn't. What it was for me is encouragement that the foot is okay, though, and that I do take something from for Bader. So
the problem is plantar fasciitis can be something that reoccurs.
Absolutely,
other soft tissue issues.
It can be a real asshole of an injury. You're 100% right on that. 68 still tough. I know I'm on the high end. I did put a little extra sprinkle of wish casting on my projection because I do believe that there's a world where he can totally break out. Probably going to come back, be more cautious with it, go a 490 plate appearance, which is going to drop him 60 plate appearances. In fact, let me do that right now and see where that lowers 8 or 2, just to give you guys an idea here, if I wisen up and I go, don't get too wishcasty with your boy, put in 490. That then moves him down for me from 26 to puppy power 37, which would actually be right in line with the market. So
I think the U in the market is still pretty high, but like,
and there's some pushback on that, but that I don't agree. I'm fine with the market price with a power speed guy like that in Yankee Stadium without persistent health issues from the same thing. Although, like you said, the planter could come back. I do like Bader though. I do. Okay. Yep. Anything else on him? You want to close the book there?
No, I think that's fine.
Speaking of health, we got a lot of health guys in here. This is like a definite, these guys could break out if they stay healthy, and certain guys will. I wish we knew who. If we had an almanac, for the future, we could tell you who, but we have to guess now. Can we trust Brandon Nimmo and or Mitch Haniger to stay upright this year? Because they could both be big. One of them, Nimmo obviously staying in New York, Mitch Haniger going to be with your boys in San Francisco, and the market has them at 39 and 40. You have Nimmo, you have Haniger right there at 39 to the market's 40, but you're not so much on Nimmo. You got him 54. So my guess is your answer is no to that. What say you about Nimmo and Haniger's health? Take them one at a time.
Yeah, I don't think you can trust either to stay healthy, and I'm probably too high on Haniger. I probably need to readjust him down to like 130 games as opposed to, I think I have him 141.
That's exactly what I gave him. Or actually, I gave him 125. I played a bit cautious, but I think he's got big boy power, so he's still got 28 bombs in my projection.
Yeah, I mean, I have him for less home runs in more plate appearances. So I am not very high on Haniger. I honestly doubt I end up with him on a lot of teams. I think he's just too risky of a player in general. Unfortunately, the Giants have all these guys that shouldn't be playing the outfield, and so they can't even protect him
Defense is still gonna suck.
I definitely need to readjust my Haniger because as I'm talking this out, I'm going, there's no way he plays 141 games. They've got to put Jock Peterson, who can't play defense, at DH, and Michael Conforto, who
oh my god, we'll get to him.
Yeah, he's a guy who's got to be protected too. There's no way he gets to even the projection I've got for him. So
I do think you should raise his power though, because he's better than a 440 slug.
Yeah.
Probably. You got him for a sub 200 ISO. You can have your issues with his health with Haniger. He's had some fluke injuries, but he's had some other ones too. Like this past year, I think we even had the discussion last year. You're like, oh, he's not going to stay healthy again. I said, yeah, but he's been fluke injuries. He played 157, and of course he bounces back and plays 57 last year. Makes me look like an asshole after propping him up, and got injured the day he came back.
Some guys just get hurt. Some guys, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of injuries of Haniger's that are super fluky.
Don't mention that one. I can't. It'll hurt me.
It's too early in the morning to talk about that.
Yeah.
But when a guys just get hurt every year, even when they're not connected injuries, it just becomes a matter of maybe they just don't have the body for professional sports.
He's every other year though. 157 in 18, 63 in 19. Didn't play 20. 157 in 21, 57 last year. So scientifically, ironclad science means he's going to play 157 this year.
Yeah, the Alex Rios theory. So
Saberhagen metrics, as Jason likes to say, with the every other year.
I think that the Giants have proven to be a really, really good organization in terms of player health, and in kind of maximizing players who've had injury issues, and kind of getting as much out of them as they can, even more so than other teams. I do worry that he's got to play the outfield so much. There's just no place to hide him.
That's a fair concern for Haniger because, like you said, young Jock and Conforto and Haniger. Why do they have all three of those guys? Oh, because you missed out on Carlos.
Yeah, because we missed out on Correa and Judge and everybody
and all the other shortstops. That money should have gone to Xander Bogaerts at the very least. I know that like you're not.
It should have gone to Swanson.
Like, well, yeah, that ended up being like a really nice deal in the end there when we were all worried that he was going to be overpaid. And I'm like, that's actually a pretty fair deal. So, all right, now let's talk Nimmo then, because he spiked. He's always been one of those guys that's like, man, what if he could just stay healthy? He doesn't have a ton of fantasy juice because he doesn't run. He doesn't have a ton of power. If you're an OBP league, you've been loving him for his whole career. He's at 385 OBP. But he finally spiked another big season. He had 140 games back in 2018, then 69, which is not nice. That's too few games to be nice. He played most of the 2020. Who gives a shit? 92 games in 2021, and then 151 this in the walk year or the run year for him, because when he walks, he actually runs to first base. 16 homers, 64 ribbies, 102 runs on the Mets, 274 average, and he's staying there. Can he stay healthy again, though? You did put him for another 600 plate appearances. So then why do you got him for 600?
I mean,
you did put 136 games, but you put him for 600 plate appearances, which is still a full season. Because that's 4.4 plate appearances per game.
He's going to be leading off. Yeah,
he does lead off, and he leads off in a good lineup. That is not. I'm not pushing back on that number. I'm just saying that because he leads off and because he walks a ton and he's on a good offense, even if Brandon Nimmo does miss a month of time, there's a world where he can still get 600 plate appearances, which is a full season in fantasy, right? Especially with how much platooning there is these days. So do you then have some love for him, for Brandon Nimmo?
I mean, where am I? I've got him 54th in the
market.
To
the market, you do not. So I guess not. But I'm torn there because you have
even
600.
Even in 600 plate appearances, like the numbers suck. Like he is a much better real life player than fantasy player.
85 runs, 359 OBP. That's okay. That has to go up. 359. You're yes, it does. You're 26 points lower than his career. He was 367 last year. You at least got to give him 367. But I think you got to go even higher than that. And then you got to get more runs. 85. If he's putting up 600 plate appearances, I think he's at least cracking into the 90s.
Yeah, I got to lower the plate appearances. I'm not giving him any more.
You might miss on Nimmo. I'm not even a big Nimmo guy. This is not like
I don't care if I'm like what I don't know if you saw what I wrote about him on my.
I did not. I read most of it this morning, but I didn't see everything.
I could be totally wrong and miss on him, and I still won't care because there isn't enough homer or stolen base potential for me to give a shit. Like it's just
I don't disagree with that. It's like it's
like in a dream season where in a dream season last year where he had almost 700 plate appearances, he hit 16 home runs and he stole 3 bases. I do not care. Like
he does other things, right? Like I understand
he was a
that.
1 category like plus, maybe 2 category plus.
2 categories for sure.
I don't care about 2 category guys when they're going as high as he is. Like that to me is like,
is he going high? Is that high?
Higher than he should be going.
He was the 18th outfielder last year. You're insane. You're shitting on Nimmo way too hard right now. 102 runs.
I was a Nimmo dude last year. I had Nimmo everywhere last year.
How'd that work out for you?
Fuck him.
It was his fault that you didn't have the success. Even though he had his best season ever and you didn't pay shit for him, it was still his fault somehow. I don't know.
If he started to run, maybe he's one of these guys.
I don't see that.
I don't see it either. Like
he's also not very good at it. He's 23 for 37 in his career. So Nimmo has not quite figured out when to go or anything. I mean, again, I'm not like some super fan. I'm basically with the market. I got 15 homers, 94 runs, and a 280 average. I think you can do that. That's fine. I got a 378 OBP. Even my OBP is a little light. I'm going to bump that up. I'm going to give him. Well, that's higher than last year, though. And I don't know. Like, I don't want to go just off of last year because he's a bunch of 400s up there, too. He's 385 for his career. I don't know. We don't need to get bogged down on Nimmo. You're worried still about the health. I totally understand that. I'm not going to push back too hard on that.
I mean, I gave him an 11% walk rate. It's not like
that is good. Okay.
Like it wasn't that I like,
What average do you have for him then? 261? I can't really push back on that either. Okay, well, fair enough. Again, I'm not a Nimmo stan, so I'm not going to be sitting here telling you because I hear you on the no fantasy juice with the power and speed. And what we mean by that specifically is that like he's team reliant and then luck reliant on his two categories.
And we haven't even talked about the fact that he has had serious platoon issues at times in his career.
That's also
and like,
true.
You know, like to the point where like not only was he batting farther down the lineup, but he wasn't in the lineup a lot versus lefties at times previous to last season. So,
well, like last two seasons, 21 and 22, yeah. Nimmo figured out some capability.
He wasn't in the lineup a lot just in general in 2021.
That's also a good point. But like I said, you know, runs you have to rely on the rest of the team, and it is a good team. We expect the Mets to be good, but at any moment,
I wouldn't expect it. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's worse though this year. Like
it could be worse, but he scored 102 runs. He could shave 10 off, and there's no problem, right?
Yeah.
Like Brandon Nimmo's going to score runs if he's upright and gets 550 plate appearances, even 500. I think he'll put up a decent run total. But then batting average is his other category, and you need the ball to fall for you, right? Like you can be a good hitter, obviously, but the two categories that he does are a bit out of his power, and that's what makes him scary. That's the same thing we say about Wander Franco too. And that's why you focus so much on the power and speed, because those are skills that the guys directly control and can then give you the fantasy juice. And so that's why we worry about guys like Nimmo and Wander Franco. It's not that they're not good players. It's just that when it comes to fantasy, they have volatile outcome ranges because of the things that they do best. Speaking of power and speed, it might be why you like this guy. Cody Bellinger. Is there a bounce back coming? Your projection says hell to the hell yeah, because you got him a good bit higher than the market. He is the 43rd outfielder off the board. You have him 30th. I got him 53rd. I didn't think I was a hater, but I think my batting average is pretty haterade. I got him for a 213. You got him for 21 homers, 15 steals, and a 232 average. Talk to us about Cody Bellinger as a Cub.
I'm going
to raise his average while you're talking.
Yeah,
sorry. 213 is hilariously low.
It's pretty much, that's where 213.
That's where he was last year.
Yeah, it's been higher than he's been the last two seasons. So, you don't have to raise it.
No, I'm going to give him a little bit more. Like, I don't think he's quite that bad. I'm going to give him a little bit more credit for the long term there with Cody Bellinger. But sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just think, I think they're going to bat him higher up in the lineup, so he has a better chance of getting more plate appearances. I also just at some point he's got to figure something out, right? Like the talent shouldn't have just disappeared. There was a great article, and I'm blanking on who did it. Man, I'm gonna look it up while we talk.
At our site or elsewhere.
It was at Prospects Live, and it's a complete breakdown of like all of his mechanical changes, with like zoomed in screenshots of like foot positions, and it was an amazing article. And at the end, they were like, "Well, what's the conclusion? Can he be fixed? I don't know."
I got his average up just to 221. It's not a huge jump. It's better, and it moves him up to 47. So I gave him a little extra love there. I want Bellinger to be good, but I'm just nervous, man. These last 2 years, 21 was an utter nightmare of epic proportions. But even last year was pretty bland when you're getting a 210 average beating you over the head to get those 19 homers and 14 steals from Bellinger. So that is worrisome. Maybe he's somebody who takes advantage of the steal rules and pops a 20 season. It wouldn't surprise me. Can't project it. But if he went 2020, I wouldn't be blown away by that. But a 265 OBP, 240 the year before, like there's some scary stuff there with Bellinger that you think that if any team can fix it, the Dodgers would be chief among those that you would think. So I don't know if the Cubs stand out as a team that can necessarily fix it. Maybe he just gets better. Maybe it's not a team dependent thing and he just kind of improves on his own. But I do have some concerns. Your projection likes him a bit more with that 232 average is, even though that doesn't sound like a great average, that's pretty nice. And then 21 homers. And you also have 80 ribbies, which is pretty solid too.
I think that Cubs lineup is sneaky good.
I agree.
There are certain guys like, I hadn't released my full ranks and stuff, prior to like our first episode on the outfield. But like I say, Suzuki is like a top 15 outfielder. Like I'm like, and there's other guys in that lineup I really like.
Me now? I'm gonna be pissed if you are.
I think I have him 13.
Ranking. Son of a bitch! You're one spot higher than me now. That's
The article I was referencing on Cody Bellinger was written in October of 2022 by a gentleman named Kieran, who now apparently works for an MLB team. He's no longer with Prospects Rise.
Dang.
Maybe they saw that article. Maybe the Cubs saw that article, and they're all like,
Bring
"Come
this guy
fix
in."
Cody Bellinger." It's called "The Downfall and Possible Resurrection of Cody Bellinger." It is fantastic article. So I highly recommend people go and take a look at that. Like, do I think he's going to be better? Like, part of me goes, he can't be worse, can he? Like,
could be worse than 21. That's for dang sure. Oh, he wrote it on my birthday. That's very nice of him.
So, yeah, like, I also love the fact that, like, he chose a team that really likes to run, that, you know, I mean, he's one of the guys that maybe he doesn't take a step up with the average and the power, but he could definitely take a step up with stolen bases.
So I'm saying he could pop a 20-something. That wouldn't even surprise me, right? Like you said, Bellinger maybe doesn't get a whole lot better anywhere else, even if he just kind of did everything he did last year, but then ran 6, 7, 8 more times. That would really improve his value and help you eat that 210 a little bit more, let alone if he got to the 232 you're talking about. Then all of a sudden we're talking maybe like a 25-20 type season. That's, again, not the projection. That is the upper level outcome. And then is there a world where he fixes everything and gets back to 18, 19, 17, 18, 19 level for Bellinger?
Absolutely. Like he's not one of these guys where I go, he's not like Yelich, where I go, the chance that he gets back to being peak Yelich is so small. Bellinger, like, I really believe like the talent is in there for him to just be the MVP of the National League again, and like be a first round pick in fantasy. And I think this is the first year since we've had this huge drop off for the last 3 seasons where the price is right. Like, the price is, this is where you should take this gamble, especially in an outfield situation in leagues where there isn't very much depth, and everybody after the top 10 has red flags. And you know what? Even people in the top 10 have red flags. Like, I talked about it on my ranks piece today. Like, 3 of the top 4 in my ranks have a red flag of some sort. Like, Acuna's got a red flag, Judge has a red flag, and J-Rod has a red flag. Like, I've never seen the outfield this filled with red flags in my life.
Scary. So I take Mookie Betts and love it. Yeah. By the way, Tieran and I already followed each other on Twitter, so it's pretty chill. I follow somebody who works for an MLB team, and he follows me. No big deal. No big deal. All right, so that's Belly. I'll put the article in the show notes there. It'll be, you click buyback opportunity. It'll take you to the article. You can read it. Now, I got another runs question for you here, because we're getting so much into these projections that I now care a lot about this instead of just kind of taking it at face value. Are you sure Giancarlo Stanton is going to score 73 runs in 122 games? He's at a 57 per 122 pace over the last 2 seasons. And that's where our big difference is. Otherwise, we're pretty much in lockstep as far as like mediocre average and a crap ton of homers. But you've got him 29th to the market's 37th. And I got him 55th because I got him for 55 runs and you have him for 73.
Yeah, maybe I'm a little high. Maybe I need to readjust that back.
Because that's about the only thing that we're really off on. You got 3 more ribbies. I actually have 3 more points of batting average. You have 1 more homer. So that's a pretty stark runs difference. And that's why we're that many ranks apart. But other than that, I think we are in lockstep that he's just going to be a 30 homer guy with 2-something, mid 2s average. Now, let me ask you the same question I asked about Bellinger. What are the realistic chances that Stanton spikes another mega season? Is that in the cards anymore at age 33? Or is he just this 30-something? Like, I know he had 273 average in 2021 and then 211 last year. Split the difference, call it a 246, which is what we did in our projections. Is he just that guy now, Giancarlo Stanton? Or is there a rebirth there, perhaps?
I mean, I think there could be. I think he is very BABIP dependent. You look at what happened last year, and 211 batting average, came from a 227 BABIP. Like, he probably should have been his normal, like 240, 250 ish. So could we have a complete like opposite where he gets all the BABIP luck? And I mean, the previous 3 seasons, 2 last year, he had a 324 BABIP, 333 BABIP, 424 BABIP. He's a career 314 BABIP guy. So
273 batting average just a year ago in 2021.
Yeah,
that's not too far off.
And it sounds like while he will play some outfield, it sounds like the Yankees are going to primarily DH him. So maybe Aaron Boone said he's going to play the outfield in spurts, which means like other guys really need a day off.
Most of his career has been played in spurts.
Yes. So like, is there a dream scenario where Giancarlo Stanton like plays in 145 games and hits 50 home runs and does it with a good average? I think there is still. Like, I'm not like, but I can't project that, obviously.
Of course.
There's also the possibility. There's a possibility he plays in 47 games, and
True.
you just
his body has taken some blows, and it's that big body. It's tough to keep healthy. But you got him as a top 30 outfielder, so you're ending up with him. You got him in our draft. I know you were not super pleased with that, and we were kind of
him and Bellinger. Him and Bellinger.
Here you go, baby. You're gonna get that power. But I gave him a little bit more love because, to be honest, I did have that average low, and I even raised my runs a little bit. So you don't have to bring yours all the way down to mine, because I'm actually gonna give him a bit more. Because obviously, if he gets more base hits. And I think the 227 BABIP is going to go up for Stanton. So the 211 average will, and thus the 297 OBP will. And then he will score more runs. I'm not going all the way up to the 80 or to the 73 that you had, but I got him into the low 60s now. I got a little bit more love for him. And just looking into here, I think I was a little bit too focused on 2022. So just this extra review here gave me a little bit of extra love for Giancarlo Stanton. A player I've always liked, by the way. I have his Marlins jersey, and I root for him definitely. All right. Trio of players here, youngsters that haven't fully established themselves. Who's your favorite breakout for this year between Oscar Gonzalez, Lars Nootbaar, and Riley Green, and why?
It's Nootbaar, baby. It's Nootbaar. If you go back, and clearly you haven't gone and listened to the podcast I did with Matt Thompson, him and I both kind of agree that I think there's a realistic chance he leads off for this Cardinals team.
I agree with that potential.
And if he's leading, that Cardinals team is potentially the best lineup in the National League.
Don't tell them that. They'll be nauseating about it.
I know. It's so hard, because you don't want the Cardinals fans to feel good about themselves. Because Matt was trying to do this whole humble thing. He's like, I didn't want to say it, but I'm glad you
get out of here, Matt. We read through that shit.
Yeah. Matt Thompson is a lot of things, including an amazing analyst, but humble is not on that list.
Humble he is not. He's an absolute G, though. I love him.
He is. I think he could lead off. He's one of these driveline guys. I don't know if you've seen the videos of him this offseason. He looks amazing.
Mm-hmm. Like a Nootbaar we're talking about, Lars.
Yeah, I would not watch the Lars Nootbaar training videos in your office. Wait till you get home and
you get canceled. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And make sure that you're not going to get walked in on and have an embarrassing moment.
Mm-hmm. That being said, I could be completely wrong.
Wait a minute. You only put him for 100 games?
No, that's a mistake.
Okay. You do have 546 plate appearances. Yeah, I don't think he's going to get that many plate appearances. So the games are off. But that's fine. Okay. Yeah, because you're not getting 5.46 plate appearances per game. That would be kind of wild. Okay. Yeah. No. Everything else about your projection says not 100 games. So, okay, I was freaking out there. You got him for 20 homers, 72 runs, 60 ribs, 248 average, and even 9 little chippies on his steals.
Yeah, and I don't feel like I was being overly aggressive, because I'm trying to make sure, especially with the guys I really like, that I'm conservative with my projections. And so a 20 homer, 9 stolen base season, with what I give him 72 runs and 60 RBIs. I didn't think it was going to push him that high up.
But you're just with the market. You're lockstep at the market, 41 each. I'm actually low.
I've gotten him in every draft.
And I've gotten him in others. And you remember when you took him, I took Fraley when you mind effed me into saying he's not going to make it back to you, and I didn't know exactly who you're talking about. It turns out you're talking about Will Myers, and guess what? He did make it back, and I still got him. So lucky me. But I don't dislike Nootbaar. I guess I got to see because I'm 56. I got 19 homers, 60. So I have 69 runs, 72 ribbies because I didn't give him too much credit for the leading off yet, because we do still have Edman there, and I could totally see that. But I know Edman has warts, and I know Nootbaar did get some run at one.
Mm-hmm.
And if they push him up there, then I do think the runs go way up. The RBIs will probably come down a little bit, but the runs could be in the 90s, for crying out loud.
Yeah, easily could, yeah.
So I'm in on the Newt train, even though my rankings suggest otherwise. Perhaps I have some Nootbaar shares myself, and definitely do like him. So give me a quick one hitter on the other two, Riley Green and Oscar Gonzalez. Who's your favorite between those two?
Oh, that's tough. It's probably Oscar Gonzalez.
Your rankings say otherwise. Oh, no. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong guy. You have them pretty close. 48 for Gonzalez, 51 for Green. So you were right on who you like better. You're just below the market. Is it a team context thing that switches that splits them, I guess?
I like Riley Green. I just don't know that we're gonna see fantasy goodness this year. Like, I think he's gonna play a lot. I think he can accumulate. But like, I don't think like there's a massive breakout coming. I think there's still some polishing to be done on Green.
I think that's completely fair. God,
like I just
rate than I thought, really.
Yeah, and like just not quite as much power as I thought we were gonna see, not quite as much speed as I thought we might see.
They moved the fences for him. That was all for Ryan.
Maybe they did.
I'm only partially kidding, by the way.
I just traded him in a dynasty league for Nathaniel Lowe, straight up. Green is 5 years younger, so that one may backfire in the long run, especially because I'm not probably going to compete this year. Definitely.
I would have liked it better as a contender.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm okay selling a little bit low on Riley Green at this point. Oscar Gonzalez scares the crap out of me. He may be the most aggressive hitter I've ever seen. I don't think he understands the take sign.
He does. He's unaware that if you take 4 pitches out of the zone, you get to go to first base.
I mean, I think it's one pitch, and it's not out of the zone.
It's anywhere,
thrown in his direction.
In fairness, though, he doesn't strike out too much. 20% was not bad, but he does have a 14% swinging strike rate. So does that give you concerns that the strikeout rate could go up for Gonzalez?
Yes,
as the league kind of gets to him.
Yeah, 14% swinging strike rate, 19% strikeout rate.
Those don't jive.
That does not make a lot of sense. Like, he had a 76.5% zone swing percentage. Like, literally anything thrown at him, he tries to hit. At some point in the outfield, he will take a swing at a fly ball.
Why do you have your bat in the outfield?
Yeah,
I crushed it.
He hit an almost 50% O swing. Like, I mean,
that's tough. Low 30s is the league average on O swing. That's outside of the
it's
zone
about
swing.
a third. Yeah, 33% is about league average for O swing. Like
48% for Oscar Gonzalez. So there, and I have some of these concerns too that I think people are kind of glossing over. So I'm glad you're highlighting these. And I don't dislike him. I'm actually ahead of the market at 39, but I do think that his downside is not necessarily being fully considered.
No,
he could hit. I think he could hit like 240s.
He has the plate skills, and this is going to potentially make you sick. So just grab a trash can.
Okay.
He's got the plate skills of Javi Baez.
Oh, come on.
He does. Like,
I know.
Look at their lines.
He absolutely does.
Look at their swing percentages and stuff and contact percentages next to each other. And you go, oh, I can see where this can go completely wrong.
He had Oscar Gonzalez had a 345 BABIP in the majors last year that really helped sustain him. And like I said, that 20% K rate with a 4% walk rate, you're like, that's palatable. But if he gets closer to the mid 20s strikeout rate that hit, or upper 20s even, that his swinging strike rate suggests, then you are looking at some trouble there, especially with the walk rate being only 4%. So again, there's some fall off potential here that is nerve-wracking with Oscar Gonzalez.
I also he had an over 50% ground ball rate. And one of the reasons, people really like him because he hits the ball hard. It's a lot easier to hit the ball hard on the ground than it is through the air. So just because he hits the ball hard, it's just because you hit the ball hard doesn't mean it's going to go out of the yard, especially when you've got his kind of launch angle.
Mm-hmm.
I worry that even if he is quote unquote good, not great, but quote unquote good, like that, like there isn't a whole lot of upside right now in the profile, the way it is kind of situated. Like he could be a batting average guy. He could be like Brandon Nimmo-ish, where he's like a batting average guy and 17 home runs, maybe a stolen base or two. But he's not leading off, so he's not going to get Brandon Nimmo type run scored or plate appearances. So I just I'm probably not gonna have Oscar Gonzalez on any teams.
I was looking inward there when I said that thing about not properly assessing his downside, because I don't think I've properly assessed his downside with my projection, and I'm altering that. I'm altering that right now, and not tanking him, not tanking Oscar Gonzalez, because I don't think he's garbage or anything. But again, I had these concerns, and then for some reason did not put them into my projection, and now I'm going to. I think I was a little bit too rosy on him, and that's definitely going to change my outlook on him, because I was ahead of the market, not aggressively, but now I think I'm going to be pretty close to lockstep. No, actually, that put him down quite a bit. Yeah, now I'm closer to where you are. I moved Oscar Gonzalez down a decent bit here. So again, could be good, could survive, could put up another huge BABIP. Just be careful with him. Lars Nootbaar was Justin's favorite of the Oscar Gonzalez, Lars Nootbaar, Riley Green trio. Next up, does Rowan Laureano stay in Oakland all year? He's a free agent after 2025, so there's no rush to trade him. What say you about Laureano in Oakland?
I mean, I want to say they're going to trade him to someplace. Like, there's so many teams that could use a center fielder.
True, because he can hold center. He's not a great defender. It's his arm that kind of protects him, but a lot of teams could use him. You're absolutely right.
I mean, a lot of teams would just use a general outfielder.
Yeah,
like, at this point too. Like, I mean,
even if they move him to a corner, which would obviously
Yeah.
make Laureano even more appealing.
The hard part is if they don't trade him before the start of the season, they're risking him getting hurt and not being able to trade him. And they haven't traded him yet, so it's kind of like, okay, is this going to happen? I like Laureano on a per plate appearance basis. I just had a really hard time getting him enough plate appearances to matter.
I feel that vibe.
And so like he ended up in my tier of guys with negative value in a 12-team league because of just the likelihood that he's going to be hurt.
Yeah, that's the scary part with Laureano, is that we've, based on what we've seen, he just hasn't been able to stay healthy, and I don't have great reason to believe that he necessarily is. I only put him for 130 games. What did you end up putting him for with Laureano?
Oh, that is a very good question. And I have to scroll down.
95. Okay, you did really punish him, and I can't say that you're wrong there, but that is severe. And listen, 123 is his high. I put him for more than his career high. I need to come down. You have him as an 86th outfielder, though, or he's 50 in the market. I'm going to come down. I don't think I'm going to come down that far. You sure you're going to go sub triple digits on Laureano?
I mean, when was the last time he played triple digits?
The one time that he did, 2019. You're right.
I mean, well, so like
technically last year, if you add his minor league numbers. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
I got you on that one, sir.
I forgot we play in leagues that include minor league numbers.
Yes, we do, sir. Thank you very much. Got you on that one. I am correct. I am always correct.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give him more games. I always feel like this is like I think one of the pluses of doing these projections for me is it really forces me to look at what guys do as opposed to what I hope they can do. And I hope he can play 120, 130, maybe even 140 games, but like, dude has not done that in a long time and has only done it once in his career. 100. He's never done 140. And max was 123. So at this point, I can't expect him to play 100 at the age of 28 when he's had 4 out of his 5 seasons have been not hitting 100 games.
I dropped Laureano to 440 plate appearances from 563, which I psychotically put originally. That would still be his second highest. but it does move him down to the 74th outfielder.
Yeah.
So based on where we have him, we think the market is wild on Laureano. And I get it. It's power, speed, and hoping that he can stay healthy and spike, but there is not history there. And he's on a dog shit team, so the runs ribbies are going to be bad too. I think there could be some mistakes drafting Laureano. Could be a little bit too aggro here. Who's the better Boston buy? Alex Verdugo at pick 203 or Masataka Yoshida at 244?
I mean, I think it's Alex Verdugo because I kind of know what he is.
Yeah. And isn't Yoshida trying to be Alex Verdugo? Like, are they similar? Or am I crazy?
I think they are. Like, I think in my article today, I said that I think Yoshida is going to be diet Alex.
Oh, yeah, you did put that. Okay, perfect. I had not read that yet. I control F the Bader part to see, and I still have it up on my page here. I'm going to read the whole thing, but you went deep on this article. You gave thoughts on a lot of guys, so I'll be reading it. Don't you worry. But yeah,
I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning doing it. So I hope
you put Diet Verdugo. Yeah, please read it. He sacrifices his sleep and health for our enjoyment. You have Yoshida a bit behind him. Him being Verdugo. Mm-hmm. So Verdugo at 38, Yoshida at 44. The diet thing checks out there. Are you drafting either of them?
I'm drafting a lot of Verdugo.
Okay.
I may pump the brakes a little bit, but for the most part, like I feel like Verdugo is exactly what we think Verdugo is going to be. Like I think like the ceiling is pretty limited, but the floor is pretty high. And I think ultimately that's what I expect from Yoshida. The problem is first season in a new country never seeing MLB pitching. We saw how like guys coming from, Asia, whether it be Korea or Japan, can just struggle initially.
Yeah, it's a huge transition. Yeah, we should expect them to be honest, more so than I think we do sometimes.
Yeah, not only are like they coming over and seeing a level of talent that they've never seen before, they're also like having to learn a language and having to learn a culture. And you know what? There is a huge difference between Japan and Boston.
Slightly.
The guys who come over and just hit the ground running to me are just like unicorns. Like it's just amazing, and more props to them because I think it's probably one of the most difficult transitions in all of sports is going from one country where you speak one language to another country where you don't speak that language, and don't know that culture. And baseball players do it all the time, coming from Asia, coming from Latin and South America. So I can't put him up there with Verdugo, knowing that the bottom I think is much lower than Verdugo.
Yeah, because we don't know these guys. We don't know how they might struggle. They get homesick, and all of a sudden it puts them in a tailspin, and then they let the tails. And I'm not projecting this on him. I'm not trying to dog out Yoshida at all. We don't know. Maybe he's a unicorn, and he's not diet Verdugo. He's Verdugo plus because he transitions brilliantly, and all of a sudden we're like, holy smokes, this guy came over and he just hit the ground running. But we don't know, and you have to be careful with it. You don't want to go too far with it and end up making a bad projection because you thought, oh, this guy's going to be 100% comfortable. We just don't know. And Suzuki talked about being away from his family and everything, and how much of the transition was difficult for him. And now he's established, and we both like him for a big second year breakout. So maybe with Yoshida, the price is fair right now, I think, but don't go too crazy, and then see how he does this year. And then next year you jump in after the transition season for him. That might be the real play with Yoshida. We talked about this guy a little bit earlier. I didn't let you get your thoughts in on him because I knew we would talk about him soon. What's in store for Michael Conforto? Again, as you mentioned, he's going to have to play some outfield there because you guys have three of the same guy, two lefties and a righty, and Haniger, Conforto, and Jock. Sick outfield you guys got there. It should be a lot of fun.
God. So the defense is going to be amazing.
It's going to be so awesome. So what's Conforto do after like 7 years off?
I have no clue. Like I legitimately don't know. Like
is the market overrating him? He's 55. I mean, yes, according to our projections, he's 55th off the board. You got him 77. I got him 70. Why the fierce buyback?
I'm probably just the uncertainty in the outfield in like just the game right now. Like I think you go like, well, am I taking Michael Conforto or am I taking Brandon Marsh or Andrew McCutcheon or Mike Yastrzemski? Like, I guess I'll take the upside on Conforto. I think that there's a lot of people just doing that kind of stuff. Like the outfield just sucks this year.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, he's
really,
going ahead
really
of our
bad.
boy Will Myers, though. Give me a break.
Well, but I think Will Myers, like, he's got an uphill battle in terms of the ADP because he was so low as a free
That's
agent
true.
that he's,
No, you're right. He'll
you know,
pass him. You're right.
yeah,
100%.
and he may not pass him, only because of where his ADP sits, like people draft off of ADP, and so that'll
I will
help.
single-handedly raise him.
Me and you both. So, but like I completely understand why people are, reluctant to raise up or lower ADPs when they're, super high or super low on guys. So,
No doubt, because they do look, you'll have your list, but you'll still look at the board. You're like, oh, he's way down here. I can wait. And then you try to take advantage of that price. And then some asshole like you or I is in the draft. And we say, we're going to take Will Myers well ahead of that ADP because it's a different guy now. So with Conforto, like I said, you got him 77th. You've got him to, let me see, what do you got for his abilities here? Conforto. You got him to hit 15 homers with a 246 average, 60s, low 60s on the runs and ribbies. That seems pretty fair. I guess based on the ADP, I don't have to ask you if you're drafting him because you're 22 points lower. There's no shot. Okay, let's move on then. Let's not get bogged down on a guy that we don't really care that much about. Is Andrew Benintendi just a sub 140 game guy forever? Or is there a world? I mean, there is a world, so I don't want to play that vague 10% chance. What are the chances that Andrew Benintendi can break free from that world of being a 140 game guy? And how do you see him going to Chicago this year with the White Sox?
I mean, I think Chicago's a really nice spot for him, in terms of park, the lineup around him. He's said in interviews since signing there that like he feels like he can now kind of readjust his swing back to a power hitter swing, because like
that's encouraging.
In Kaufman, there was just no reason for him to try to hit for power. So like I think there's a lot of reasons to be really optimistic. I don't know if I buy like a consistent 140 game kind of player, but I think he's really interesting. I also think that I have no idea what the White Sox are fucking doing. Like,
neither do they, in fairness.
Like, this lineup is like the biggest boom bust lineup I think I've ever seen.
It's
and
pretty wild.
He just added to it. I just don't like this feels like my 2019 main event team where I just put all the riskiest players together and
just pray
that it was all going to come together, and maybe it does for them. I have a feeling it will not.
Tim Anderson, Andrew Benintendi, Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, Yoan Moncada, just as your top 5.
Yeah, like how many of those guys are going to play 145 games? None of them, right? Like that's
2, maybe. I don't know. They'd have to. That is wild. And look, I didn't put Benintendi for that many games, but I still am way ahead of the market here. I only put him for $128. But I got him back up to 14 homers with 11 steals. Could be a sneaky steal guy, too. I think he's another guy, like we said with Ian Happ, could take advantage of this, pop another 5-6 extra, which would dynamically change his projection. He's 51 in the market. I got him 35. You got him 46. We're both ahead of the market on Benintendi. I think I'm going to get some shares. I want to have some solidified outfielders before him, obviously. But if he's my OF3, I like the gamble. I liked him last year. I thought he could bounce back. He didn't really. He was okay with the batting average was great, 304, but he hit 5 homers and only had 8 steals in 126 games. I knew I was getting the injury risk. I was okay with that. But hearing the power thing that he said, if he gets back into the upper teens or maybe even more for left-handers, guaranteed rate is the 3rd best park for homers over the last 3 years, coming from Kaufman, which was the 3rd worst. And I know he was with the Yankees for a little bit, didn't really take advantage of that over there, but that was 33 games. I'm not putting a whole lot on that one way or the other. I don't even know how many were at home. I can look that up. But I like Benintendi this year, even with the risks that he has, because I think the market bakes those risks in quite nicely.
Yeah, I do too. Like I think he is a guy that I think he's going to get overlooked a little bit. And some people will flat out just say first year of a new deal, I'm out. And okay,
In fairness, that's not the kind of deal I talk about when I say that, though. 5 years, 75. He's not asked to be the guy. He's a glue guy. He's a secondary piece. I don't think that that's going to hurt him there, so that I don't apply that principle to him. But if somebody does, I get it. I'll take him hitting number 2 in that lineup. If we do get lucky and they do collect some health, he could score a billion runs.
Yeah.
I don't think that all those guys are going to stay healthy for 140 plus, but if they get lucky and do, or at least get, say, 120 games together, right? Like just a nice group of 100, and then they start dotting missed games all around. It's going to be a lot of runs for Benny because he gets on base, and that's the one thing that he does well. All right, let's move on. Is the market sleeping on my boy Jake Fraley? I got him 43rd. You got him 57. The market has him 73.
I actually had to lower my projection on him.
No, you didn't.
A little bit. The first time I did, I was like, oh man, I've got him like in like the top 40 at outfield.
And what's wrong with that?
And I was like, I looked at it, I was like, oh, okay, I think I have him playing a few too many games. He's probably gonna platoon a fair amount.
There is some platoon risk. I grant that. But when Fraley got back, and so I had him for a breakout last year, even in Seattle. And no, he was with Cincinnati last year. I'm an idiot. Yeah. So when he got traded after the Winker thing, I was like, yes, I love this. Just as much as I hated Winker going to Seattle, I loved Fraley coming back. Injuries ate him alive. He missed 78 games in the middle of the season, basically wiped out the season. When he got back on August 1st, though, 283, 370, 506 with 10 homers and 3 steals. I'm not saying he would do this for a full season. I'll just give you what that full season paces out to. It would be 32 and 10. I didn't put him down for 32 and 10, folks. Don't worry. I'm not that crazy. But I love Jake Fraley. And I do think he can have a nice season, even losing some time to platooning, as he should, because he doesn't hit lefties that well. I got him for 22 and 14 with a 251 average. I'm well ahead of the market, and I stand firm.
I think 22 may be a little bit hard to do.
Not in that park.
Considering his launch angle, And now, to your credit, in that kind of small sample in the second half, he had a 12-degree launch angle, which is higher. He raised it a little bit during that time. So, that being said, like, I think there's power there. I think there's speed. And because Cincinnati is so bad, I think he's going to play a fair amount.
He should.
Yeah. And he's going to hit, fairly high up in that lineup.
Yeah. Our disagreement is the homers, by the way. You got him for 15. I got him for 22. And that's fair. You have statistical reasons behind being a little bit lower. Mm-hmm. I do love that park. I've been pretty aggro on the Great American Ballpark. We talked about Will Myers a bunch, but I really do like him, and he doesn't even have to stay healthy, which has been a problem for Jake Fraley here to get where I've got him going. I only got him for 124 games, 501 plate appearances. So I think there's upside even beyond where I've got him. I got him in a bunch of draft champions already. I'm sure as shit going to get him in my other leagues too. I really, really like Jake Fraley and think there could be some nice upside there.
I think not the only, but I think one of the major problems and why the power is one of the things I regress back, as well as just some plate appearances. You cannot hit home runs, and this is a statistical fact, if you hit a ground ball. And he had a 46%.
Depends how fast you are, buddy.
Yeah, he had a 46% ground ball rate at home last year, which is a little bit concerning to me. So, like, I played a little bit more conservative with the home runs. I still think he's going to be very good. I still think he's probably going too low in the market.
Yeah, 73 in the market. Even if you don't fully agree with me, folks, but you like Fraley, there's still plenty of room to buy at 73. You don't have to be all the way up at 43 with me. You can be at 57 with Justin, and still be very much in on Jake Fraley. Are you buying the Trey Mancini expected home run surge? He had 18 or more than 18, in every park projected, but Baltimore, Cleveland, and Detroit. And I've talked about the shortcomings of that tool on StatCast. You don't just take that verbatim and say, oh my God, he's going to hit 32 homers. First off, it projects all of their batted balls in the same park, which never happens, of course. And batted ball distributions change. However, the bottom line is that park change in Baltimore devastated Trey Mancini's output, and every other park looks better for him. He's going to get some time in that Great American Ballpark, being with the Cubs now. Just being in the Cubs all year would have given him 3 more homers at least for 21. He would have had 30 in Milwaukee. So his new environment in the NL Central looks like it could be nice for him getting into those 2 parks at the very least. Are you buying Trey Mancini here as somebody to get with the Cubs?
No.
I
mean, I like Trey Mancini. It's a really fun story, but
you just like Matt Mervis.
The wall in Baltimore is not the reason why his exit velocity numbers drop so you
So
know,
why does he have so many expected homers everywhere then?
like, I don't know.
I mean, some of these numbers were off the charts. And again, this is if he played all his games in the same park, which does not happen. It's
Yeah.
just a reference of like how good. And this is part of why I said if you want a long shot of somebody who could hit 20 after the deadline, it could be Trey Mancini going to Houston because he could take advantage of the
He
Crawford
could
box.
pull. Yeah.
The opposite happened. Things did not go well there, but he had 30 projected homers in Houston with all of his batted balls and all that. Like a lot of mid 20s, low 30s outputs here. If you look across his expected homers for the year, I hear you that the exit velo dropped.
What's he expected in Chicago?
21. So just 3 more, but still better.
Yeah, I mean,
he's only going to play half his games there. He's going to play in Cincinnati. He's going to play in Milwaukee.
He's also going to play in Pittsburgh and St. Louis, and
both still higher than Baltimore.
It's the first time he's going to see National League pitching.
No, it's not. They play interleague. That thing is overrated.
It's not.
Overrated.
I don't think it's
yes,
overrated.
it is. And also, his exit velo went up from 2021. So what are you even talking about?
Yeah, because 2021 sucked too. I'm talking about from like his big homer output.
Returning from cancer. Ever heard of it?
Yeah, but I don't give him he doesn't get points back because
2019 he had a 90.3. He went down to 89.5. Is that really that drastic of a drop? It's less than a mile.
Well, it was like a juiced ball.
Yeah. Sure. So. But you said the exit velo was the problem. I'm saying it hasn't dropped that much. And these projected numbers say that Trey Mancini was still batting the ball pretty well. He's got, and again, Jeff Zimmerman did a great breakdown of what he called the patriotic lollipops here on Savant. We overrate him because most of them just say the same thing, power. But his power ones are all at least pink. And his max exit velo is still red for Trey Mancini. I think you're selling him short here. I really do. I think there is some upside to that power. He could get back into the mid 20s with the White Sox. I think. I don't even have him going crazy. I just think he.
I've got him for 21. I think.
Okay, I mean that's something. I got him for 22. I'm not even going crazy with it.
Yeah, I'm like I just don't think we're gonna see like 27 or 30 again from him.
You know what the funniest thing about this is? You're way higher on him than I am.
Yeah, like what the hell?
It's only because of the runs and ribbies.
Yeah,
it's literally only the runs and ribbies. You have him 70s for both, and I have him low 60s.
And maybe I need to
raise that.
I might actually need to adjust him down. I don't think that Matt Mervis's path to playing time goes through Mancini. By the way, like I think that goes through Hosmer.
It goes through AAA. Like don't draft Matt Mervis right now in a redraft league. You can draft him in your
draft champions, yeah.
But other than that, don't be taking him right now.
Yeah, probably not.
Don't take him in. And
I think he could be up early. Because, I mean, Eric Hosmer's garbage.
But they're going to.
And they have nothing attached to him. I don't know that they will. This is a team that.
Why'd they even bring him in then?
Why'd they even bring him in? Because he's free.
Okay,
he's legitimately free. Like
they're gonna hang on to him. Why did they get 9 guys to block Matt Mervis? Right. Every pickup they made blocked Matt Mervis. They even said Dansby Swanson might play first.
Matt Mervis slept with somebody's wife. Like that's. I mean, he's a cute dude. Like
he's a handsome devil, man. Maybe he had making eyes for somebody in the front office because I don't understand it, man. I really thought this guy was like a day one. Hit the ground running with the team, break camp type of guy, and then like we'll get Eric Hosmer. We'll get Trey Mancini. We'll get Cody Bellinger, who plays the outfield, but can also play first. Like, what the hell, man? They hate this guy. Anyway, I like Trey Mancini. I think there could be some power upside there. I didn't even project.
You don't like him as much as I do.
You only put more runs and ribbies. And you said you're going to lower it, so get out of here. You don't even believe it.
Yeah.
Are we underrating Brian De La Cruz in Miami? I got him at 68. You got him at 76. The market says 53 for this man. What do we think about Brian De La Cruz in Miami?
The market hasn't accounted yet for Chad Chisholm moving to center field.
That doesn't hurt De La Cruz, though.
I think it does.
Why?
It's just another person in the outfield with Avisail Garcia. They have Jesus Sanchez.
Okay, no. It's Sanchez versus De La Cruz. That's it.
That's the problem. Like
is that a problem though? I like Jesus Sanchez. I was in on him last year.
Look what Jesus Sanchez did in the minors after being sent back down. Like,
do we play in a league that counts minors now?
Yes.
You like how quick I was able to spin that right back on you.
I know. He made some like real changes to his mechanics that closed some holes in his swing. Like I think Jesus Sanchez could have a really big spring and be like competing to be on this roster and playing. And so I just worry that, one, I think it's a really, really poor idea for them to be moving Jazz Chisholm into the outfield
How
just to
come?
begin with.
He wants to do it.
Does
He's
he?
in on it. Yeah, it was his idea.
It's his idea.
That's an article I read that said it was
This
his
is
idea.
I mean, I just center field. Like, I just feel like he's going to be diving around and hurting himself. And he's a guy who can't stay healthy anyways. Like, keep him at second base. And
I
wrap him in
understand.
bubble wrap. Like, you can
I
put the chains
understand that-
around the bubble wrap. Like,
I understand that the outfield can be dangerous too. I think both can be equally dangerous though. He can get hurt at either of them. Second base, you dive too.
clearly, breathing is dangerous for Chad Chisholm at this point. Like,
Well, if he doesn't breathe, he would indeed die.
His ADP is insane. Like,
I know people love, and everyone on PitchCon seems to be coming on and to do a profile about how great he is, and
Good.
I want to love him
glad.
because I like Jazz Chisholm.
I do love him.
He's got swag all day, but I don't fantasy love him. I real life love him. I root for him.
I can't pay the price with.
I can't. So De La Cruz though, we got sidetracked, and again, I really like advocate with you because I'm with you. We are both way lower than the market. I'm just wondering what they're seeing for 53.
I think that part of it is like they're not seeing a potential log jam in that outfield. Okay. And
Sanchez's reemergence.
Yeah, I do see like there is an issue potentially with playing time. I like De La Cruz actually a fair amount, but it is a bad park. It is a bad team. There's potential, like, I mean, I haven't even mentioned JJ Bleday, who came up last year.
I still love him, but he sucks.
I think
sucks, man.
I think they have to give him a shot to. Like,
I'm still rooting for him. I really am. I want to be right on him because this is a guy I liked since college.
The corpse of Lewis Brinson is somewhere.
Shut up! Nope. We're moving on. You cannot. No. Better health buyback. Jesse Winker or Austin Meadows. Do not fucking bring up Lewis Brinson on this show.
Okay, so I put in my article today. I like it in my kind of like rest of tier of all players.
Oh, you put both of them in there. I see that.
Yeah, like I put just a list of guys that I don't know what to do with. Like,
read off the group because I completely agree.
The group's name or the group.
I have them if you need it. Alex
Kirilloff, Michael Brantley, Nick Senzel, Michael Conforto, Austin Meadows, and Jesse Winker. Reports are good on Jesse Winker right now.
Good. We like that.
Do I believe that? No. Like, I don't. Like, I mean, dude had back and knee surgery in the offseason.
Scary.
And he's never been a guy.
Getting double surgeries makes you a top 20 pick. At least that's what Fernando Tatis.
They cancel each other out.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's how
it's like a double negative.
Yeah.
One injury is a negative. Double surgery is and
it becomes a positive.
Yeah,
Love
exactly.
Okay, cool.
All these guys, like, like there are some like smart guys in the industry. I talked to DVR for the Brewers preview on FWFB, and he's all like, he's excited, like, and they talked a lot about him on a recent episode of Rates and Barrels.
Mm-hmm.
And like I pushed back, I was like, how many games can we really expect? And like, what is like even like a healthy Jesse Winker at this point? Like, I don't really know.
Pretty good. I think like low 20s homers with a solid average if he plays like a healthy Jesse Winker
and no speed.
Yeah.
So like, it's kind of a boring profile, right? Like,
decent runs and ribbies. I mean,
is his stealing like Brandon Nimmo?
No. I gave him 1.
Yeah,
I gave Jesse Winker 1 in 500 plate appearances. So even if you give him 650, give him a dream season 650, it's going to be 2. Like, I'm not in on any steals for him, but I got him for 20 bombs in 503 plate appearances.
Isn't his dream season like Anthony Santander at this point?
With better average.
Yeah, I mean, so
he's been a better pure hitter, Jesse Winker has.
Like, I feel like he's got a glass ceiling that I just don't care that much about, especially with the injury risk.
2021, 305, 24 homers in just 485 plate appearances. Now, that was in Cincy. Milwaukee is not quite Cincy, but it is good.
It's better than Seattle.
It's a hell of a lot better there. It's the 5th best park in home run rate for lefties since 2020. What would that be? 2020, I guess, which that's the 3-year rolling. Great American is number 1 by a landslide, by the way. So again, even though it's 1 versus 5, the gap is colossal. However, going back to Seattle, like you said, Seattle is 19th. So it is a big improvement for Jesse Winker. I think there is some juice there to get the batting average back and have some decent homers. I don't know. He's my pick between the two, though, and I'm a Tigers fan. I want Austin Meadows to be good. I don't know what to expect. Are you picking Meadows over Winker then?
I don't think so.
No, you actually have 80 for Winker, 93 for Meadows. So what do you think for Meadows? You're just out because the market is way ahead of you at 66.
Yeah, if he's a guy, if he looks good in spring, then I'll be back in because I've always been a Meadows guy. But at this point,
you would make an aggressive turn on him if you see Meadows hitting 2 every day for the Tigers and doing well in Lakeland, you're back.
All those guys on the list, I don't even know if you put Alex Kirilloff on the rundown. I have my 149 in the outfield.
He'll be next episode when we do quick hitters on a bunch of guys.
Yeah, so
quick hitters for us. That's funny as we go to hour 1.5 hours.
Yeah, all those guys could have aggressive change in their ranks if they're looking good in spring. My issue with Winker especially is when I'm drafting at this point in the draft where, kind of spot he goes and later, if I am looking for a guy that has injury risk, I want him to come with massive upside.
That's fair.
And I just don't see that with Winker. I have him right behind I have him a few spots behind Jared Kelenic.
Yeah, and who you still love because you're an idiot.
If Jared Kelenic has a dream season, it
will literally be in his dreams.
Round talent
that will never happen.
It may not ever happen.
There is no universe where it happens. There is no precedent for fixing strikeout rates like that. None.
One, I think it could happen, but I'm not banking on it. I just, for me, if I'm looking at a guy with real risk, I also want to be okay, to accept it, it's got to be like a bell curve, right? Where to accept a certain amount of risk, you also have to get a certain amount of upside. Let's call this the Alberto Mondesi theory. In order to accept the risk, there has to be a certain amount of upside, or the Byron Buxton,
and the price has to be at the right point too. Which I actually think for once it might be for Mondesi, but then we were having a chat on Twitter, and I agree with the likes of Rob Silver and Scott Jensen, who said, "Well, the price is just going to go right back up, though, especially the second that he steals 2 bases in the spring training game, and everyone skyrockets."
Well, he's not going to be in spring training because they said he's probably not going to be ready for the season.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
That's So they've already said his knee rehab is so slow that Mondesi is likely not gonna be ready for the season.
Don't even waste your time with it. I mean, it's not a bad pick in the mid to late 200s, but whatever. Anyway,
we have to hold him on your roster. Yeah,
we need to keep moving. Better Miami buyback: Jorge Soler, Avisail Garcia. Avisail Garcia, best shape of his life.
I think both of them are pretty good buybacks. Actually,
they're very cheap.
Yeah, I think they're both fine where they're going, and I think. They both offer different things at that point in the draft. So kind of depends on what you need. If you're looking for massive power, I think Soler can give it to you. I'm not worried about him in that park.
He's your 40th outfielder. Holy shit!
Is he really?
Yeah,
I didn't even realize that.
I didn't either.
I think he's gonna DH full time, which should help keep him.
You only put him for 129 games too, so you didn't go. Oh yeah. I'm sorry, sir. You need to reassess. You gave him a 291 batting average. Thank you very much. We're going to need to reassess that.
Okay. Yeah, let me.
That'll lower him. You'll probably be closer to 60, which is still ahead of the market, though. He's 71.
All right. That's a problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you got to go, even if you want to be aggro on him, I think you're looking at a 245, 250 average.
You know what I think I did is I put down his plate appearances and forgot
without changing
hits. Yeah.
Yep. That's fair. That's totally fair. And then Avisail Garcia, again, there's been chatter about how he's really mad at himself for being so crappy last year and all that, and really wants to bounce back and prove himself. We talk about this with the year one of the deal. And again, I would have said he's not one to worry about for the same reason I said about Benintendi. But it turns out even the mid-tier guys can put pressure on themselves when they get a pretty sizable contract. So maybe I should be worried about Benintendi because of it. But he really put pressure on himself to come in there and help revolutionize their offense and all that. And he sucked when he did play, and then he only played 98 games. But he recommitted to his body. He said he got a little plump there after a big 29-8 season in 2021. He goes down to 8-4. I do think he is a guy who could be a sneaky double-digit steals guy. He likes to run. He's not great at it, and Miami might tell him to chill out with that shit. But if he is lean and feeling good, I do think Avisail Garcia could get back to the double digits that we saw in 2019 when he had 10 and be a sneaky 10 to 13 type guy with his power returning and a mediocre average and say like the 240s. I like Avisail Garcia. Maybe it's my homerism from when he was a Tiger.
I think you're right. I think you're actually absolutely nailed it. I definitely see some upside in a slimmer Avisail Garcia.
We're both way clear of the market. He's 80th, you're 52, and I'm 59.
I think he's one of these guys that I think people forget that like he was a top tier prospect at one point, and like
he's
now,
the Mickey Jr. comps were only because he looked like him. That was really unfair to him because he just simply had his face.
Mm-hmm. So like, but he was a top tier prospect that had some off the field issues, and he's kind of struggled to like reach that ceiling.
Nothing illegal, by the way, but bad stuff. You don't want to be doing what he was accused of doing.
Yeah, just Google Avisail Garcia and Prince.
But we're not talking about like breaking the law and criminal stuff.
No.
But
he didn't do anything illegal, just immoral.
Very, very immoral. That's somebody else's wife there. But anyway, I think there is some upside there.
I do like Prince Fielder's career.
Broke his neck, man. Really
broke his heart and then
his
broke
neck.
his neck. Yeah.
All right. Any favorite from Austin Hayes, Jock Peterson, and Randall Grichuk? Anybody that you're like?
I think it's Randall
Grichuk. Give your Coors.
Yeah. So again, like if you play in daily leagues, if you play in NFBC, like you can optimize him to get just a ton of home games without any road games. But even if you and he was much better on the road than he was at home. He's also much better in the second half. I think
he was better at home or on the road.
He was better at home.
Yeah, you reversed it.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I apologize.
He was better at home, of course.
At home, he was on the road, and so you definitely want to try to optimize it. But he was also he was much better in the second half.
Yeah.
And I think we talk about like guys leaving Coors and being like, oh, his numbers are never going to be as good. We don't talk about the adjustment going like in your first year or first half season going to Coors
and figuring out the hangover effect.
Yeah, where you got to figure out the hangover effect. You also got to figure out like, hey, pitches aren't going to break the way they are in Colorado, and I've never seen that before because we just did spring training in Arizona, and the ball was moving a hell of a lot different there. So like I think Grichuk could have a really big season. I'm not necessarily projecting that, but like I do think
you give him a pretty decent season though. 60 with 75 ribs and a 257 average. That's pretty nice. That's your 43rd outfielder. So you cleared the market.
He is a free agent, so theoretically the Rockies could move him at some point.
However,
but they won't because they're dumb.
They're stupid. Exactly. Yeah. They'll be like, oh, we're going to try to re-sign him, and then they'll never make an effort to re-sign him. All right. I'll give you a few moments here. What is 2023 Brandon Marsh's upside, if any? Now, in fairness to you, extreme fairness, you did not get aggro on the projection.
I did not. I was very conservative.
Yep. Yeah. You're right in line with the market. In fact, we have the same exact dollar value, literally $1, or not literally 99 cents. But you have him 63rd. The market is 65. So you took a sober look at him. But in your heart,
in my heart, he is this year's Cedric Mullins. No, he's not. I think he's going to play every day. And
so you're not worried about platoon for Marsh?
I'm not super worried about.
You didn't project it.
Yeah, only because they're especially once Harper comes back, and I assume they're going to DH Harper a lot.
Yeah, but that'll be mid-season. But he's getting half a season.
But even before then, because I think they're going to DH Derek Hall a lot, they're going to have to play both Schwarber and Castellanos in the outfield. And when you have to play both Schwarber and Castellanos outfield, and you don't want to murder your
You
elite
need
pitching
someone to
staff,
protect them.
you need someone like Brandon Marsh to protect them in center field. Um, and so I think for that reason alone, I think he could see a lot of work against lefties that
I
you
think
would
there's logic
normally
there.
I think you would normally say, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." Um, Not to mention, like, he actually looked like a little bit of a different hitter when he came over. He had a, above league average zone contact. Um, he was a little bit, he picked his spots a little bit better to take hacks, and uh, I'm very excited about him. I don't think he's got a ton of power. So I think like 12, 13 home runs is probably what we will see. I think I projected him for like 11. But there is a lot of speed there. And if he can get on base at a halfway decent clip, like I think there's a legitimate shot he steals 20 plus.
6 starters projected in the NL East lineups, in the NL East rotations, are left-handers right now for Brandon Marsh out of the potential 20. That's not terrible.
Yeah.
And one of them is Patrick Corbin. So, like, he could absolutely crush him. So who knows? Brandon Marsh, the speed component is what you really like there. He ended up stealing 10 last year in just 461 plate appearances. If he's playing every day and taking advantage of the new rules,
Mhm.
maybe all of a sudden you're looking at like a 20 burger from him.
Yeah.
You didn't project it, but it is there. So you are still getting your boy, right? You're still drafting
Yes.
Brandon Marsh. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean,
Just making
I've
sure.
already got him on like every team
I
already.
figured.
Yeah.
Will Estuary Ruiz hit enough to pile up SBs in Oakland?
Man, I did his projection last night, and I was
It wasn't great, right?
it's not, and I can see I can see the potential for him if he could just have anywhere close to a 300 on base percentage for him to be like a 30 plus stolen base guy.
Mhm.
Um,
But you gave him a 281 OBP and only
yeah,
27 steals, and I get it. I gave him a 292 and 22. We're way below the market. The market is high on those steals. He's 59th outfielder off the board. Estuary Ruiz in Oakland.
yeah,
What?
that's wish casting.
That's wish casting like crazy there. And I want to be wrong because he's a fun player, but I just don't see it. And you're not going to get like runs and ribbies much either because that lineup
Right now
sucks.
he's projected to hit ninth in Oakland.
Yeah, and like that is obviously terrible. So then is Garrett Mitchell a better play then?
Yes.
Um, because he's not nearly as expensive. He's the 72nd outfielder off the board, and he can also run, but he seems like he can hit a bit more. And you already said yes. So expound on Garrett Mitchell in Milwaukee.
I mean, Garrett Mitchell definitely has some swing and miss to his game,
Mm-hmm.
but they flirted with him as a leadoff hitter late in the season.
He did strike out 41% of the time, but he only had a 12% swinging strike rate in
Yeah,
that little sample. So I don't think he's quite that bad. I do think he'll probably be an upper 20s guy, but he balances it out with a decent eye. He even had a 9% walk rate in
yeah.
the majors in those 68 plate appearances. He had 8 steals. He was 8 for 8 after going 9 for 9 in AAA. So I'm intrigued by
Yeah,
what we've seen out of
the
Garrett
sh
Mitchell.
the strikeout rate was completely fluky. Don't worry about that. I mean, he had like a way above average in terms of like good O swing, 25.7%. Like we said earlier, 33% is kind of league average right now for O swing. He made just below league average contact at 84%. Like you said, a 12% swinging strike rate. He's not been he's had a few like bumps in swing strike rate in the minors, but nothing like majorly concerning necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
There is power. I think in that bat there's definitely speed. Like when I do my this year's Cedric Mullins article, he'll be a name on that list.
Okay. I like that. Garrett
So
Mitchell out in Milwaukee. There's some
there
upside there.
there are some questions now that they added Brian Anderson. I don't want
Sure.
to like not that Brian Anderson can play center, which is
But
where I think Mitchell.
they
But
would
I think
finagle things.
yeah, and I think that they will. I think there is a chance and I do think Anderson plays a lot more outfield than infield at some point. Though I think maybe at the start, maybe he plays infield. They move Urias over to second.
And then
So
BA plays third. But then
yeah,
as the season goes, they can
There's
mix
that-
and match.
yeah, exactly. So I think there is definitely more risk than there was maybe 2 weeks ago. But I like Mitchell as a player.
Yeah, I think there's some intriguing upside there. And then the market is giving you a much more fair price on him than Estuary Ruiz. That's for damn
Mhm.
sure. All right, couple more things here. Not buying the projection hype of Jose Siri. Steamer likes him for 17. Now, again, they have a rate that puts him there, and then our playing time gets him there. But Jeff Zimmerman has talked him up. I've been seeing some other buzz about Jose Siri, and you're just not in on it for Jose Siri. And I understand that the plate skills are probably going to be the main thing that you cite, but you got him way lower than anything else going on right now. He's your 108th outfielder off the board because you have him hitting 215.
I mean,
I'm only on for 222.
You can't hit home runs if you don't hit. Like, hit is part of hit home runs, right?
Okay, so the thing of it, okay, here's actually our real difference before I let you get into it. I'm sorry. 47 runs and 39 ribbies is the big difference because I got 58, 59 on those two, which is not crazy either, but that's really where you tank him.
Yeah, like I just don't think he's very good at. Like,
okay, I'm not pushing back too hard here. Like I have a better projection, but I'm not necessarily caping for Siri. The plate skills scare the shit out of me. 33% K rate, 6% walk rate for his career. That's horrendous.
Like we're talking about a guy, and I want to like bring up like actual examples. Like I don't want to just like kind of approximate. But let's say Jose Siri was come on. Let's say Jose Siri had qualified for the batting title last year, which obviously he didn't because he just didn't play enough. So he would have been tied for the third worst zone contact in all of baseball. Right behind Josh Donaldson and Luke Voigt. Like
and they got a hell of a lot more power than he does.
His O swing was up among like the top 20 in terms of worst O swing.
And this is historical too. Throughout the minors, Jose Siri did these similar things. He did have a nice AAA season in 2021, 16 homers, 24 steals for Houston, but 31% K rate and 7% walk rate in AAA. Like he had a 436 BABIP propping him up that year.
Now so swing and strike rate, like he would have had the third worst swing and strike rate in baseball too, behind again Luke Voigt, who does not have a job in the majors, and Javi Baez, who is Javi Baez.
Stop bringing him up, man. That's just mean.
In his defense,
Jose Siri's defense. Okay.
In Jose Siri's defense, and in defense of people like Jeff Zimmerman and other people who were high on him.
Yeah, because earlier you were saying Jeff Zimmerman's a stupid idiot. Don't ever listen to him. You did say that.
The argument for Jose Siri is the argument of the person he's tied for in terms of lowest zone contact rate. It's Adolis Garcia. Is that the defense is so good?
He's this year's Adolis. See, this is the guy you should be drafting, though.
And
not Adolis Garcia.
Theoretically, he is this year's.
Okay. That's intriguing.
So if you play in a league where you're punting batting average, I think he could make a lot of sense.
Okay. And then maybe move up the lineup too, if he does go a little Adolis on it and do.
The problem is one of the big differences contextually is that when Adolis was coming up to the Rangers, they had less in the outfield than they do now, which isn't very much.
And Tampa Bay will find somebody to. They've always got somebody.
The Rangers weren't competing. They could allow him to go up there and struggle, especially because the defense was so good. I don't know that the Rays will allow him to go up there and struggle the way that the Rangers allowed Adolis to do it. I put him
could lose the PT.
Yeah, I put Jose Siri for 450 plate appearances, which I guess it's not crazy. It's not as crazy as other.
I'll maybe consider throwing a few more runs and ribbies then.
I don't know that I will.
Maybe not though. Like what'd you put for the runs? 30? Is that the one 39 that you put?
47.
And then the ribbies were 39.
Yeah, I'm right almost in lockstep with ATC.
ATC's 52 and 47. That's a pretty big, as you well know.
Sorry, I was looking at their RBIs and walks.
Oh, as you know that's a pretty big difference there. So again, I'm not caping for him. I'm higher than you, but only because my runs and ribbies are so different. I have him for 14 homers, 20 steals. I like the Adolis Garcia comp. And like I said, I'm not paying the Adolis premium at all. I'm fading him so hard.
And I wasn't paying the Adolis premium last year, right?
And in fairness, there wasn't a premium. Again, I think
people the year before. Wait, no,
I think people are making the mistake of like, well, we missed on him last year, so let's get back in. I'm like, no, he outperformed last year. Good for him and good for you if you got him at a fair price. Don't pay the premium now.
I don't think there's a massive premium.
It's a colossal premium, in my opinion. Where do you think he's going? What outfielder do you think he is off the board?
20 something.
That's fucking insane.
It's just because outfield is so bad.
No, man, he's bad. He's bad. I'm trying to save y'all from yourselves.
He's fun. Carlos Gomez.
Have fun. Okay, and Carlos Gomez eventually just fell
first
apart.
Round pick. Yeah,
he's already late, Carlos Gomez, and I fell for that. Right? This is PTSD.
I remember.
Here.
Yeah.
I loved Carlos Gomez. Like loved. I took him in the first round. I was a dumbass. So I know how this goes.
The thing about Garcia is he's going to play. At least Garcia is going to play no matter what. Like he can be bad. So good.
Yes, he is going to play no matter what. But what if
he can hurt? His batting average can actively hurt you.
That's what I'm saying. He can hit 215.
I'm saying if you're punting batting average, you don't care about it.
But I'm not paying the 16. I would rather just get Siri.
Oh, I'm not paying it either. But
I would rather just get Siri or other guys that are similar to that. But I like the Siri comp there that he could be similar to that. All right, I got one more thing here. I know we're approaching 2 hours. I know people like the long ones anyway, so no one's going to be too mad about that. But no love for Oswaldo Cabrera to play in New York. You basically just don't have him playing.
I mean, I didn't know what to do in terms of his plate appearances. Like, I like him a lot, but like, is he actually going to play?
I think so, because he's a util and he can play infield, outfield. Because I don't really
believe in Josh Donaldson. Their infield is, but Josh Donaldson's defense is still pretty good, and he's got the contract. Josh Donaldson's going to play as long as he's healthy, and unfortunately for the Yankees, he has been healthy the last 2 years for the most part. He's gotten over 500 plate appearances each of the last 2 years. So.
Okay, but that's only 132. He played 132 games last year, so there's 30 games there. But then there's room in the outfield.
Maybe some of those 30 games go to Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
Shut the fuck up on Isaiah Kiner-Falefa.
DJ LeMahieu.
Like, DJ LeMahieu's just going to play every day.
But you can't play everybody every day, and that is like I like Cabrera. But I just
are you sure like Oswald Peraza's taking the SS job, right? Why did I say SS instead of shortstop? What a dork.
I think Peraza is.
Okay, so then my main guy would then be Aaron Hicks, who I've loved previously. But
did you not hear the Aaron Hicks interview?
No, what happened?
He said he's going to go 30-30 this year just to give it back to the fans.
Suck my ass with that. Get out of here. You know what? I hope he does.
I love confidence.
I'll root for him every step of the way, but ain't no fucking way that's happening. I'll take a board bet with Aaron Hicks, not with you, with Aaron Hicks specifically.
If he has 30 games played,
30, he meant 30. That's what he meant. 30 games, 30 walks. I'll give
30
him that.
plate appearances, 30 at bats.
I'll give him that. He will get 30.
I should probably bump up.
Now let me give my number.
He will find.
Because there'll be injuries. That's an old team.
Somewhere.
And look, I know we just got hyped on Giancarlo Stanton, but we're not dumb enough to think that he can't play 52 games, right? Like that, that is in the cards, and it's not even a crazy outlier scenario. I got Oswaldo Cabrera for 430 plate appearances. I'm not going bananas on him, but I like him. I did go a little too high on the homers and the homers specifically. I put 19. That's a little aggro. But I like Oswaldo Cabrera, man. I've been getting him in all my DCs. He's mad cheap, 79th outfielder off the board. But you got him 123. I got him 46. I got to move him down a little bit. But I really do like him, and I do think he's going to find
46.
that 46. Yeah,
that's crazy.
That is a little wild. Again, I went 19, 17 on the.
I think I'm gonna bump up his projection a little bit.
I'm down to 15 homers.
Maybe I'll get him up to like. I don't know, 420 for 50 plate appearances, and that'll.
I know we referenced this maybe at second base or first base because he qualifies at both. People are going to make the same DJ LeMahieu mistake again, aren't they? Because he's once again projected to not play by roster resource, and I understand, and it is a tough fit right now. But there's no way that DJ LeMahieu doesn't play, right? You talk about a contract. He's got a contract.
Yeah, he's going to play.
He's healthy. He's going to play, isn't he?
I mean, it's going to be what we saw last season, which is like, hey, today you're playing third base, tomorrow you're playing first base, hey, this day you're second base, then you're going to DH, then and then somebody will get hurt, and we will
That's the
find
thing. Some bodies will get hurt, and that's why I believe my boy Oswaldo is going to play. I am lowering that home run projection, so I'm not going to have him 46th anymore. That was a little aggro, but I stand by the 17 steals and 246 average. I don't think that's out of pocket.
Yeah, I have him for a little bit lower average. I think I have him for like 230 something.
And that's fair with a young guy to be cautious on average, because that's something that you can go into slumps, you can have issues, et cetera, et cetera. So
I kind of split the difference between what his batting average was last year and what his XBA was.
I think I'm down to 53, so I'm still up there. But 430 plate appearances, 15 homers, 17 steals, 246 average. I like me some Oswaldo, and you do not have to pay anywhere near that price.
Yeah.
So even if you think I'm wish casting, you can still get him. He's the 79th outfielder off the board. Infield, outfield capability. I think he's a great DC play, Oswaldo Cabrera in New York. All right. We will do one more episode about outfielders, and they will just be, they'll try to be quick hitters, but they'll be a lot of them.
Because my boy, like, we didn't even talk about him. Like, I thought
Edward Olivares?
No, but we didn't talk about him either. TJ Friedel, baby. Like
Friedel. We got to get some Friedel in there. We got to get some. You want to talk about, oh yeah, you got him 47th. My comp would be Edward Olivares on that. I have him 39th after the Michael A. Taylor trade.
Wow.
Am I crazy? I put 15, 18 with the 260.
I think the 18 might be a little bit. Honestly, 15 might be a little bit crazy. Not crazy, but a little bit high.
Well, because the park, I get it, but
yeah.
I feel like they can't demote him 52 times this year. I think he has to finally
He's
play.
got to be out of options at this point.
I fucking hope so. Yeah, I'm 99% sure that he is, but I'll check.
But
yeah, we'll do one more, and we'll get into a bunch of. Oh, he has one more option. So, never mind. I'll project him for 15 plate appearances. Never mind. Forget everything I said about that. But yeah.
Speaking of guys who Avisail Garcia had someone's wife, like
he did something. Remember that year that they did? Then they instituted a rule because of how much he got screwed over.
You can only send someone down 5 times in a season now. Because they sent him down, I think, 8 or 9 times. I think
it was nuts. I want to say Mitch White was the other one. It was one pitcher, one hitter, and they're like, "This is some bullshit, y'all. You got to stop doing this to these guys."
The frequent flyer miles he should have gotten, like But I'm sure they,
but it's a close triple. It's KC.
It's Omaha, so like they probably just
bust him. But yeah, we got to talk about some other guys too, like Oscar Colas. I'm sure people will be interested in Leody Taveras. If we haven't talked about an outfielder that you want us to, put that in the comments here or on Twitter. I'll make sure that they get on the rundown as long as I see it. But yeah, we'll do a bunch of other outfielders to wrap it up. Been a lot of fun chatting with you. Nice little 2-hour episode for the weekend for folks. You were with Justin on Sunday or Jason?
Yes.
Guest?
Yes.
Who we got?
I believe it is Moonshots DFS.
Ooh, excellent. That should be a lot of fun. And today, Friday, if you're listening to this day of 9 p.m. Eastern, you're going to be on PitchCon predicting all the 2023 award winners with Janice Scirio and Ellen Adair. What a panel there.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm on...
Your lovely wife at 5 Eastern will be doing the evolution of curses, rituals, and superstitions of baseball. I'm very excited for both y'all. It's not just because you guys are two of my best friends, but the topics are very cool.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. I'm really excited. I don't think I've ever talked to Janice, or maybe I have. I can't remember. But I mean, obviously we know Ellen really well. So I'm also going to be on the Fantasy Ace Ball podcast and In the Cut with Ryan Venasio and John Fish. I'm doing both of those today.
Okay.
And I was just on, if you want to hear me in peak form, because I was just on it.
We going crazy?
The Triple Play podcast I did Wednesday night. And I feel like I did some of my best work.
Okay.
There.
That's a good promotion there. Okay. So you guys got plenty of us right now. We are in our season, right? I always talk about how the Super Bowl puts the final cap on it, but we're already in that full part of the season here. Baseball is back as far as we're concerned. So if you're with us, we're everywhere right now. Justin, have a wonderful weekend. I'll talk to you later.
Take it easy.